Good day everyone and welcome to the VidiGo Toolbox webinar. My name is Everts and today I will be showing you VidiGo Toolbox and give you an insight into the latest updates for VidiGo Toolbox. There is a brand new still store and we will have a closer look at the return signal management. If you have any questions, please use the GoToWebinar client to ask them. We will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. Again, today is all about VidiGo Toolbox. So let's have a quick look at what we will be discussing today. We are going to talk about some of the difficulties broadcasters may face getting PC content on air. The solution, of course, why use VidiGo Toolbox. Some people have asked us, what is VidiGo Toolbox exactly? So we'll dig a little bit deeper into that one. And a product demo, of course. And again, at the end of the webinar, there will be time for questions. So if you have any questions, please use the GoToWebinar client to ask them. We will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. Let's start off. Basically, the world of content delivery is changing. And as I mentioned before, there can be some challenges in a control room or a master control room getting PC content on air. You want to use YouTube or Google Hangouts, grab a portion of a web page, for instance, playback odd codecs that are not supported by your video mixer or playout system. VidiGo Toolbox helps do all these things. And additionally, people are using VidiGo Toolbox more and more to bring video conferencing tools such as Google Hangout and Skype in their broadcast. VidiGo Toolbox allows you to grab anything you have on your PC screen, whether it's YouTube, Google Hangouts, Google Earth, Skype, a web page. Anything on your screen can be grabbed with a region of interest, and the VidiGo Toolbox outputs it into an SDI key and fill signal. It has a built-in VLC player, allowing you to play back those unknown codecs and file formats directly to SDI. VidiGo Toolbox includes a still store, again a brand new still store we'll be showing you today with playlist and keyframe animation functionalities as well. And let's not forget the audio delay tool to make sure you have synchronized SDI video and audio, the logo inserter to add image overlay to your signal, SDI return signal management, of which we will see more during the product demo. Again, VidiGo Toolbox allows you to do much more than just grab or convert a signal. But one of the questions I often get is, often during webinars these questions come up quite frequently. They say, why should I use VidiGo Toolbox? Well, VidiGo Toolbox is easy to use, so you don't need any special technical skills in order to operate it. That also comes back not only in the ease of use of the application, but also in the maintenance and support side of things. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Let's have a look at the comparison chart first. VidiGo Toolbox is an end-to-end solution. The chart compares a traditional scan converter setup to a VidiGo Toolbox setup. Using a traditional scan converter can require the use of multiple hardware components. It may be that you need multiple devices to get the job done. The reason for that is that the scan converters, they are mainly designed as a converter or grabber. Getting the audio embedded in SDI may require additional hardware. More hardware may be needed to delay and synchronize the audio with the video. VidiGo Toolbox is much more than a converter or a grabber. Again, it has embedded audio, audio delay tool, the VLC player built in, the still store, image overlay, return signal management, and all from one solution. This also makes it a lot easier to maintain and support compared to several devices that you might have to deal with in a traditional setup. So what exactly is VidiGo Toolbox? That's also a question that came up during the previous webinars. What is it? Is it software? Is it hardware? What do I need? What does it run on? So if you look at VidiGo Toolbox, VidiGo Toolbox is a software-based solution and it runs on a Windows 7 desktop PC. The VidiGo Toolbox software allows you to grab any PC content you have available on your system. Playback files or odd codec file with odd codecs with the VLC media player that's integrated into the software. It has the still store to output images, and this all gets outputted again to an SDI key and fill signal. In order to output to SDI, we currently support Blackmagic and Deltacast SDI cards. Which card to choose? Well, that depends on your budget, your preference for, some people have a personal preference for cards, the setup you may have in mind for use with VidiGo Toolbox. But with broadcasters using more and more video conferencing tools in their broadcast, and also using our return signal management to send an SDI signal back to the person they are doing the video conferencing with, the card input options have become more and more relevant. Also, a combination of card is sometimes used, where one card will take care of the key and fill output and another card will handle the incoming SDI signal for the VidiGo Toolbox return signal to the video conferencing tool, sorry, I should say. So the far end is able to see an SDI signal we supply. So again, VidiGo Toolbox is a software-based solution running on a Windows 7 workstation. We add a supported SDI board and a NVIDIA GeForce graphics card, and of course the VidiGo Toolbox software itself. So who's using VidiGo Toolbox? Well, if we look at the list, so let me have a quick look at the list. If we look at the list, there are a number of broadcasters around the world using VidiGo Toolbox, either in the control room or MCR. It's quite a long list, so I'll just name a few. Let me check. I see L'Equipe in France, WDR in Germany, for instance. I see MTV Finland, RTL Netherlands, NBC USA. Again, the list is quite extensive. So we have broadcasters around the world relying on and using VidiGo Toolbox in their daily operations. I think it's about time I show you how it works. So let's have a look at VidiGo Toolbox and how it all works. I'm going to switch over to a VidiGo Toolbox and a desktop. So you will be able, I'm going to start sharing my screen. So again, you will be able to see my desktop and the output that we're generating as well. Depending on what you want to have a closer look at, please use the divider or slider to enlarge either the desktop or myself and the output that we're generating. So let's start off with VidiGo Toolbox. If I launch VidiGo Toolbox, VidiGo Toolbox resides in the top right hand corner of my screen. And from this point on, I can then go in and show you the settings. So again, VidiGo Toolbox gives you the opportunity, of course, to select PAL or NTSC. We have SD, 720p, 1080i format options, and at 50 or 60 Hertz, of course. Outputs key and fill, so you can swap or select depending on what type of card. So here we can see I'm using a Decklink card, a Blackmagic Decklink card at the moment. So you can select your key and fill output ports on the card, depending on what type of card you have installed. And of course, Genlock is available. So everything that you need in a professional broadcast environment. So let's start off with the grabber. So I'm just gonna click and activate the grabber. And it gives me the option to say create region or grab the full screen. So I'm going to start off by grabbing the full screen, and from time to time you will be able to see the VidiGo Toolbox output right there, or it might be that it is full screen on the SDI output. But at this moment, my VidiGo Toolbox that I'm operating goes to our VidiGo Live video mixer, and it's being outputted, so you can see it right here. So again, I grabbed the full screen, so that's an option. This is what the old school traditional scan converters would do. But it's not always that you want to grab the full screen. So let's have a look at some of the things we can do. I'm going to, for instance, the web page, the New York Times in this case, And I can go back to region, create region, and I can select the area of the screen that I want to use. I say activate. And now this is the only portion of the screen that I'm grabbing. Everything happens in real time, so I can scroll through it. I can do pretty much anything that I want. So again, VidiGo Toolbox allows you to grab anything you have on your PC screen. With just a few mouse clicks, you can draw a region of interest and output it to an SDI key and fill signal. It doesn't stop there, because if I go, for instance, now to YouTube, I will restart this, I will remove this region, I'll create a new region. You can create multiple regions of interest if you wish to do so. So I'll just create a new region for this one. Create region, I'm quite happy with this one. I will activate it. And now you see that that's the only portion of the screen that I'm grabbing and sending through. But additionally, when grabbing, you are not only grabbing the video signal, you can also control the audio. So here we can see that the volume of the audio is coming in. If I pause this, or if I mute the volume here, you will see that the volume on VidiGo Toolbox goes down as well. So I can control the volume, but more importantly, the delay. So if you look over, I'm sliding the audio delay slider here as well. So you can grab the content, delay the audio if needed, and send it out to SDI. Additionally, I'm using YouTube at the moment. If you wish to do so, you can also go in and add an image overlay. So now we're seeing that this is a little Google Hangout logo. If I go in, browse, I can then say, okay, I'm using YouTube, here it is. I can just browse an image. Let me exaggerate this now, put it in the middle. If I say use overlay, it will end up in the signal right up above me. So I will remove it, make it a little bit smaller, and position it in the bottom right hand corner, activate it again, and maybe I can play around with the opacity as well, but I'm happy with that. And again, it's embedded in the signal. Grab any PC content you want, audio delay, and an image overlay, and it's a signal ready to go, key and fill to your video mixer. You can use it again for anything you have on your desktop PC running VidiGo Toolbox. I just went to a web page. I'm using YouTube at the moment. Some people use it for Google Maps, so I can go in. So for instance, let's have a look at the weather situation. Sorry, this is traffic information. So I'll create a new region, grab this portion of my screen. I'm happy with that. Activate. And now I'll be able to do like traffic reports, something like that. I can zoom in on the signal by zooming in on the browser. So everything again happens in real time, it's updated. So now we're having a closer look at Amsterdam. I can zoom out, zoom back out, and we can see it again. Move it around. Let's zoom a little bit further out. I'm happy with this overview. And of course, everything that you're doing regarding zooming in, zooming out would happen on the level of your video mixer, of course. Let's have a look at the overlay, remove the overlay. There we go, there it is. Again, VidiGo Toolbox allows you to grab any PC content you have available in your system with just a few mouse clicks. Create a region of interest or multiple regions of interest. Handle the audio if needed, and an image overlay can be added as well. And it's a ready to go key and fill signal for your video mixer. Additionally, we added a VLC plugin. So if I minimize this, let's minimize this and move over to VidiGo Toolbox. There's a VLC player. When I click on it, it opens and activates the VLC player. So I can then just select the file. I've got them on my desktop at the moment. Drag the file over, and what you can see is that it starts playing it directly. So the file is just here. I'll do that again with another file. So I'll just drag in a new one, and you will see that it will start playing another file at the moment. As soon as I drag it in, it loads it and starts playing it. Again, this can then be used either as picture-in-picture, full screen. I have control over the over the audio delay again. And if we look back on my desktop on at Toolbox, we have yet another overlay section. So again, audio overlay is also available per section. So also the VidiGo VLC plugin has its own overlay. So I can comment on this as breaking news, or I can say let's load and go in, load a different image overlay. And there we go. And now I can show it's coming from VLC. VLC player integrated, just drag the files or go file open and open the files that you want to play back. Any codec that is supported by VLC will then be sent out directly to SDI. So you bypass codecs and re-encoding and transcoding files, etc. You just drag it into VLC and send it out to SDI. Now we get to the new and exciting still store. We have a brand new still store again with a playlist and keyframe animation options. So what I'll do is I'll go back to VidiGo Toolbox and select the still store. So I press and hold. It's opening up the still store at the moment. And there it is. The still store has folders. I can add new folders of images. Can be either on the local PC or on a network attached storage drive. As long as you add the folders, because they're pretty much watch folders. As soon as you add a folder and new files will be copied or uploaded to that folder, they will also appear in the VidiGo Toolbox still store library. So in this case, let's have a look at the options. So I can browse my image library. I'm just going to drag one or two files over. So that's file number 1, 2, 3. If we look in the middle here in the playlist, I can use the up and down arrows to sort the order out if needed. So let's just add 1 or 2 more files. And then I can use this to set the playlist. So again, maybe you will see them right here or full screen. I'm not sure where they will appear. But if we play this list, again, you will see that they will appear. Each image, let me set the playlist to loop. Each image reset. If I double click on it, they have a crossfade and a showtime. So I can set per individual item, I can set the crossfade or the showtime if needed. Let's bring it on air. And we can create a simple playlist. And that's about it basically. You drag in the file, rearrange the order, and then you press play. If you want it to loop, you can set it to loop. Now if I reset it, I can go into the properties of each source. What we had before was the ability to use the position and size. That was all available in the previous still store as well. The new thing is, again, the playlist and keyframe animation. So if I go into an image and I say keyframe animation, I have a beginning and an end point. I can say at the beginning of my animation, I want to be at this position and zoomed in this far. And at the end, I will copy it from beginning and zoom out a little bit more and put it over here. So I create a simple little animation. So let's do that for this one as well. Let's go and zoom in on the bridge and add a keyframe. And at the end, I'll just move it over to the houses slightly. That is fine. We'll go to the next one, Las Vegas. Let's zoom in slightly and position the sign like this. Keyframe animation, go to the end. And at the end, I'll just zoom out slightly. Slightly zoom out. I think this will do. I'll skip this one. No, this one could be fun. Reset. Because we could exaggerate this one by zooming in all the way on the Eiffel Tower. So people think, hey, it's in France. Keyframe animation, and at the end, we'll zoom out and show them that they're actually in Las Vegas. So again, I'll press play, and now we can see full screen what happens. So I'm creating a little bit of keyframe animation, or as some people know it as well, the famous can burn effects can also be done in this matter. The playlist is now set to loop, so it will just continue looping probably right here. Again, a brand new still store with playlist and keyframe animation options. So I'm just showing you a small little example of how we can set up a playlist and use the properties, edit the properties to create a playlist with keyframe animations from the still store. We also talked earlier about the return signal management. As I said, more and more broadcasters are using video conferencing tools such as Google Hangouts, Skype, Viber, Uvu is coming up more and more in their broadcasts. And I'm going to show you an example of how we would do, for instance, a Google Hangouts call. So I'm going to go back to my desktop. I'm actually going to go back to my grabber, and let's just, for overview purposes, I will just remove some of these regions. So I will start fresh. I'm going to go to Google Hangouts. Here we go. Let me enlarge this. Anna is right here. So I will give Anna a call, and Google Plus opens up. I can minimize this. Hey, who's that gentleman right there? It's a pretty handsome guy. So I'm waiting for her to pick up. And of course, these preparations are normally done before you go on air. But in this case, there she is. She's actually handling the webinar today. So she's doing the GoToWebinar side of things, and occasionally switching the video mixer as well. So what I'll do now is, I've got a conversation going with her, and the main thing we want to have her appear as a picture-in-picture here later on, or maybe use her full screen. At the moment I didn't grab her yet, so as soon as I grab her, we can use her in the picture-in-picture box. So what I'll do is I'll create a region. Again, I could have done it full screen, but I'm going to select that I want to use this portion of my screen. It's pretty much her eyes. I can ask her to move, switch the microphone a little bit, things like that later on. But I make the selection that I want to use. And this is now activated. As soon as I activate it, it's ready for the video mixer, and it can be used in the video mixer. Again, I have control over audio, but especially the audio delay tool is handy in this case. I'm not only grabbing the video, I'm synchronizing the audio and sending the audio synchronized through to the video mixer. And if needed, I can now say, let's go in. I need the Google Hangouts logo because I'm using Hangouts technology or Google technology. So it would be nice to mention that, might be even in the license agreement. Use overlay, and there we have it. We have a small little Google Hangouts logo. So this will take care of bringing in a Google Hangouts conversation. Again, VidiGo Toolbox allows you to grab anything you have on your desktop. So whether it's Google Hangouts, Skype, Viber, Uvu, any video conferencing tool, you can use the same method, grab the portion of the screen that you want, synchronize the audio, and then use your logo inserter or the VidiGo logo inserter to embed it in the signal, and you have it ready to go. So in this case, from the video mixer, she can opt to either put it, again, picture-in-picture, or she can switch to full screen if she wants right now. She can basically decide what to do with that signal. Additionally, more and more broadcasters asked us about the possibilities of sending an SDI signal back to the far end, and that's what we've done with the with the return signal management. Again, a lot of broadcasters asked us about sending back an SDI signal, so that's what we do with the return signal management. If I go back into VidiGo Toolbox, we have the return signal management. If I click on return signal management, what you will see is you have an audio tab, a video tab, override tab. So what we do is, you can basically see it as the far end, in this case Anne. She's on air. We brought her into the broadcast, we brought her into our video mixer, into our show, but we would also like to send something back to her. So in this case, she's using her phone to send us a picture. So what I can do is I can decide what I want to send to her. So if we look at the video side of things, this is what she sees. I will switch it to the override mode because I can also decide there are two modes. Normal mode, while we're using it in normal mode, what do I want, in this case Anna or the far end, to see? I can select the source. I can send my own output, I can send a still, or I can send, in this case, I'm using a decklink SDI card. So I'm selecting the port on the SDI card that I want to send to her in normal mode. So if we look at, or we look on Anna's phone, she will actually see me and herself on air. So I think she can switch to a view of herself and show you that she's now actually watching the broadcast. What I could do is from my desktop, I can say we have again two modes. So I'm now in normal mode, sending an SDI signal to her. In this case, this happens to be our program PGM out that we're using for the webinar. But there's also a override mode. So I'm going to now switch and say, switch to override mode. And what will happen then is she will actually see an image. So you can see this like an intercom or a video override mode. So as long as I'm in override mode, I can decide to send to her a different SDI signal, but in this case I'm sending just a video signal. As soon as I get out of the override mode, she can see the PGM again. So if we go back to VidiGo Toolbox, again we have audio, we have video, we have two modes, normal operations or normal mode, and we have an override intercom mode that we can use to send to the far end. So again, under audio, the mode normal, I can decide what is the audio source. In this case, I used my decklink SDI card as the audio source. But as you can see, I've got two sound cards installed. So it's picking up the Windows sound card, it's picking up an RME card that's in there. So we just decide audio-wise, what's the source? Is it SDI or is it the SDI card inputs that, the audio card inputs that we have on the system? Normal mode and override mode. We can decide which channels we want to send to. Video, the same applies. Under normal conditions, I'm sending my SDI input, channel 1 or channel 2. Under override mode, I'm sending in a picture at the moment. That's what we saw earlier on. So basically we have two modes and we can decide which one do we want to send to the far end. If we look at the overrides options, by clicking on the button I can override audio, I can override video, or I can override both. And also we've assigned keyboard shortcuts, so you can set keyboard shortcuts if needed to do this as well. So maybe we can go one more time to a shot of the phone. So again, this is normal conditions. She's, you can see me in the background there, but the phone is actually receiving PGM output. I can now opt to click on both and override it, send her. This is a still or picture, but I could have, depending on what type of configuration you have, this could also be a secondary SDI channel, of course. Again, VidiGo Toolbox allows you to grab any PC content you have available. Use the grabber to grab your region of interest. Audio delay, logo inserter if needed, VLC player integrated for those odd codecs that you may face during your broadcast. A still store to output images, including playlist and keyframe animation options. And we just had a look at the return signal management, allowing you to not only bring in a video conferencing tool using the grabbing options, but with the return signal management you can also decide what it is you want to send back to the person that you are in the video conferencing call with. Again, VidiGo Toolbox is much more than just a scan converter or grabber. Gives you all these options from one solution. I think it's about time for questions. I cannot really see them on my screen. I'm going to try and pop them up, and otherwise I'm getting also the old-fashioned way, some questions coming in. Let me check. Is the Decklink Studio 4K supported? That's a question that I see coming in at the moment. Decklink Studio 4K, to my knowledge, has not been tested and certified by us yet. But I will have to double check who asked this question, but we will email probably all of you these questions. But the Decklink Studio 4K at this moment, to my knowledge, I have not seen it pass test and certification yet. I will get back to the person that asked this question regarding if it's on our list, yes or no, and whether we're going to support it, yes or no. But at the moment, it has not passed test and certification. Can I play out iPhone or Android codec live? That depends on how you approach it. Basically, if you're able to get your iPhone or Android stream on that computer, on that desktop, you can use the grabber to grab that signal, of course. The audio that will be playing on that system can then also be grabbed in the signal and embedded in the signal. So again, it depends on how you approach it, but you can, if you have an iPhone or Android somewhere providing a live stream, it is showing up on my desktop. I can of course grab it similar to what I did grabbing the YouTube signal. It has the audio embedded, I can send it out live. That's one way of doing it. The other approach, which we do not test and certify on, is I know that some people are using the options within VLC. I just showed you what we tested and certified VLC for is opening up the VLC browser, dragging in video files, and it plays them back out to SDI. I know some people are using VLC also to pick up streams, so that might be an option to go for. Again, not tested and certified, but I know that some people are using it in that way to then open up the live stream from their iPhone or Android in VLC, and then VLC will take care of sending it to SDI, and therefore they have it embedded in SDI signal. Then another question is, can I send AES to the caller? AES audio, I have to be honest, I'm not sure. I haven't used it in quite a while. But if you go back to my desktop, I will just have to check. Am I still showing my desktop, or did we finish the... can we go back to my desktop, please? Then I can have a look. Show my screen. That's me. I don't want to be on here. So if we go back to the return signal management, the audio section, we can select what it is we want to send to the far end, and the source here depends on the sound card that you have in here. So I see here I've got an RME card, which as far as I know has AES, but I'm not sure if it's connected. But these are the options that we have. SPDIF. No, I don't see it. I will get back to you on that question. I'm not sure about that, about AES audio. If the AES audio is able to come into the system, we should be able to pick it up in here. But as far as I can see, I do have a card that should have AES, but I'm not sure if it's connected or plugged in, and therefore not showing up in here. But I will have to get back to you on that, on the AES audio. Do we have more questions, Anna? There we go. We have a lot of questions now. Is it possible to make presets in the grabber? This is a question that comes up every webinar as well regarding presets and making presets in the grabber. I'm not sure how to answer this. Maybe the presets is something that come from the traditional scan converters, I guess, where sometimes you couldn't see all the times what you were grabbing, what you were doing. Sometimes it was an additional monitor. But when using VidiGo Toolbox, it's very easy to create your region of interest. So rather than making presets and saving them, it takes, at least for me, probably more time to create presets than to just create a new grabber. But at this moment, it is not possible to store your presets in the grabber, and I presume you mean the region of interest that you're grabbing to save them and store them so that every time that you go to that preset, it will be in there. The presets at this moment, so if I just create another one, region, create region, I'll just create another one here. They're saved as tabs, so I'll just double check and see if it saves them. I just always create new ones, so in this case, no. So they are not stored, if you may call them presets like that. So I always just make new ones, but I will hand this question over to our CTO, our think tank of things that might get in the next upgrade or things like that. Because this is a question that comes up every webinar. Is it possible to make presets in the grabber? Not at the moment. No. Next question, is there a way to deal with overlays and pop-ups from the client software that will show up? Example given Skype. There is a way, of course. I think that's the way often is to pay. There's not something that's not something that that we do. We grab the signal, and pop-ups that appear on YouTube, on Skype clients and things like that. That's often a setting in that client software. Sometimes that's something you have to pay for. Sometimes that's something you just disable in the settings. But pop-ups and overlays, I think we just grab them and use them as well. It's not something that we take care of or have a solution for. It's often the client software that will take care of it. I also read that you have a way of interacting with the Skype client without grabbing. How does that work? That information is not up to date. I think you read somewhere is still the information available that we have Skype client integrated. We used to have direct access to the Skype API, but at some point Microsoft bought Skype, and Microsoft decided to make their own solution, and they basically shut down the API, and they're asking money. Basically, we can buy their solution and then build on top of that. So that's also the reason why we went back and to the drawing board. So if you're using Microsoft, the Skype TX box, for instance, it's primarily designed to work with Skype, around Skype, and our solution, you can grab Skype, you can grab Google Hangouts, whatever it is on your desktop. And again, also the return signal management allows you to send back an STI to any of those clients. So unfortunately, that information about the direct access to the Skype client without grabbing has been discontinued after Microsoft cut off the Skype client API for us and the rest of the world, basically. I'll check and see if this was the last questions. I'll give it 30 seconds or so. If any questions come in or pop up, I will get them through. Again, if we didn't have time to answer your questions, or if any questions pop up, please use the GoToWebinar client to ask them. We will get back to you on these questions via email. I see from the corner of my eye, we're out of time. So again, VidiGo Toolbox allows you to grab anything you have on your PC. Grab YouTube, Skype, PowerPoint, Skype, Google Hangouts, as we've shown you. You can grab it, synchronize the audio, add an image overlay, and send it out to an STI key and fill signal. VLC plugin in order to play back those alt codecs. Still store with playlist and keyframe animation. And let's not forget again the return signal management that we've incorporated, allowing you to send back audio and video to the far end of the video conferencing tool. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this webinar. It seems that we're out of time, so my throat is also indicating that. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.